Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. And I'm sorry that the fans can't be on, but at 6 o'clock, hopefully, they will come on for us. So we'll start a little bit in the dark. And you've been let off the hook, because I did have an activity for you to do, so we'll do it at the end instead. So tonight is just really a very informal time where we just get to chat about the different letters that your child will be introduced to in grade R, specifically through Letterland, whereas in grade 0, your children are exposed to the sounds in incidental ways in the classroom. And it is very important that your child understands the sound of the letter and not the ABC, because when it comes to grade 1 and even in our third term here in grade R, we start taking those sounds and we put the sounds together for them to build 3-letter words. So like your cat, to make cat, whereas if they know the CAT, they're not going to be able to get to the word cat. So today is really just about us saying the sounds and getting to learn the sounds, so that when they come home and they tell you about the letter that they learned at school, that you're able to chat with them and to encourage them to build their vocabulary around that letter. Because it's important for them to know that many different words start with the sound and words end with the sound. And so we introduce it using Letterland. And so in grade R, when your child has learned that letter in the class, your teacher will send home the link. There is a story that goes with it, there's a song that goes with it, and you are more than welcome to play the song for them and to encourage them to be practicing the sounds, and then to go on a bit of a treasure hunt and find different things in the house that start with that letter. So I'll be introducing Bouncy Ben to you. So we have a book in each class, and what we've done is we've just taken a kind of photocopy of the book so the children are able to have a look on this page and to see all the different objects that the story will talk about. So I'm just going to read it for you, just so that you have a little bit of a feel about Letterland. Here's Bouncy Ben. He's a very happy bunny rabbit, always having fun with his brothers. Can you see Ben's brothers in his blue boat? Can you see another brother far away in a hot air balloon? Ben has a bouncy ball too. Sometimes he balances his balls on top of his head, between his big brown ears. Can you see him at the top of the page? He must be very good at balancing to keep it there. Bunnies love to bounce, and Ben is the best bouncer in Letterland. He makes a special sound as he bounces about in words. Can you guess what it is? Listen to the B sound at the start of his name, and then you'll have his special sound. And so then I would go around in the class and I would ask them what words start with a B. So let's go for it. Who's up for a word that starts with a B? The B is the easiest. Yes, let's go.
Butterfly.
Butterfly.
Banana.
Banana. Balloon.
Bear.
Bear.
Bun.
Bun. I think I heard bird. Boat. Blue. Bees. Berries. Bat. And so as you go, you can just build on and encourage them to find words. If they get stuck, for example, I will say to them, what color starts with a B? Or what fruit starts with a B? So that you are even building on more of the vocab of putting them into the groups and things like that. So learning the letters is all about having fun, because it needs to be incidental, and we also need to bear in mind that for some children, it just takes time for that to click. So if it doesn't happen, don't pressurize it to happen. Just continue to let it happen in a fun way, because you will find that you will say to them, what starts with a B? And they'll tell you the sun, because they haven't made that connection yet with the start of what that sound is. And so that's why we do it in all different ways. So you could say to your child, what sound does book start with, to get that sound? Or you ask them, what things can you tell me that start with a B? So we need to be doing it both ways. And once they've grasped the concept of the initial sound of the word, then we start to listen for the end sound. So what sound do we hear at the end of book? And things like that. So just be careful with those words, because English is a funny language, and we have a lot of words that don't have like an actual specific end sound. And so look for our phonetical ones that we can sound out. Preferably like your four letter words at this stage, so that they've got something, a frame of mind that they're able to work with. And then you'll also find that as we're going along, they might start talking about rhyming words. So we link that in as well. So you've got your bat, cat, fat, hat, that they start to recognize that the rhyming words have the sound at the end that is the same. So there's just so much that incidentally happens every time we introduce a new letter. So they have this picture up in the classroom where they are able to go and have a look for the different pictures and discuss it with their friends. And then we also have this little one that we put up as well to introduce the character. But the most important that we need to emphasize is that, yes, this is Bouncy Ben. But if there's no picture of Bouncy Ben there, it is just a bag. Because they also cannot spell cat by saying clever cat, any apple ticking test. So yes, it's a fun way that we use to introduce the letter, but it is very, very important that when they are looking in a book and they see a bird, that it is bird. That's not Bouncy Ben. Bouncy Ben has to have his little face there for him to be Bouncy Ben. Okay, then just to quickly cover on the back of the page, we're not going to talk about that tonight. These are all the letter formation. If you look carefully, it says begin where the dot is, it shows you where the arrows are. And so just to bear in mind, for your child to be writing their name, only the first letter of their name starts with a capital letter. The rest have to be lowercase. So please make sure, a lot of the children come to school writing their name all in capital letters, and we need to retrain them that it's only the first letter of their name that starts with a capital, and then the rest are obviously the small case. And please encourage them when they are writing to hold their crayon correctly or their pencil correctly, because it's vitally important that they have that correct grip. So we call it the tripod grip, and they need to be holding the crayon, supporting the crayon, so they're able to have a lovely big web space where they can move the crayon to get the correct letter formation. Because it's vitally important that we teach them from little how to write it correctly, so that they don't have to relearn it along the way. Because in grade 1, it's expected that it is written that correct way. So this is the way that the grade 1 schools are expecting the letters to be formed. And you can easily laminate this page, or make a photocopy of the page, or put it in a plastic sleeve, whiteboard marker, or Koki pens, and let them practice. Lots of fun. Okay, so, right, let's get to our sounds. So at the top, I've just made a list with some words so that it helps you sort of put a picture in your mind. I remember coming home the one time to my husband and speaking, about all these sounds, and he's like, well, what do you mean about the sounds? How am I supposed to know about the sounds? And so I said to him, the easiest thing for you to do is to think about a word. So if we think about an apple, apple starts with a. Okay. So we wouldn't say it's an apple, like the A that we know in our head. Okay? So A as in apple, and we've also got to just be very careful that the children get very confused with the phonetical sounds. So your A and your E, O, and A are very important for them, because sometimes they get confused, especially with the A and the E, and then that obviously will affect the spelling at a later stage too. Okay, so let's go for it, and let's all practice our A sound. A. There we go, right. Okay, then the B, it's a very soft sound. So we're not wanting to shout out the sounds, we're wanting to say them softly so they don't end up with this B, this big sound that sounds like it needs to have a whole lot of other letters with it. So it's a very soft sound. Ba, ba, bo, ba, There we go. Right. You'll see the curly K and the kicking K. That's what we refer them to. Your C and your K. That's both got the K sound, but they need to. So for example, when I am teaching them, the K sound, and I ask them what starts with a K, if they tell me kettle and we're learning about cat, I say to them, you are correct that it does start with a K, but that's the kicking K that we're going to learn about. So grade 1, they'll also talk about your curly K and your kicking K. So K as in cat. Also, once again, not this kind of sound. D as in dog. Then E as in egg and elephant. It's like a very, very soft, you can feel it on your lips when you say the sound. As in fish. Then G as in goat. So first thing that comes to mind whenever I see a G is the whole thing of like giraffe. So giraffe, it may start with a G, but that actually doesn't make a G sound at all. It makes the J sound. So we've got to be aware that we have got these letters that have different sounds to them. H as in house. E as in ink and igloo. Another one that we often get confused with, if we think of an E, we think of ice cream. So straight away, that's your I sound and not the E sound. J as in jet. K as in kettle. L as in lamp. M as in mat. N as in nose. O as in orange. P as in pink. Qu as in queen. R as in red. We don't go the roy. Okay? We don't roll our R. S as in sun. T as in tent. A as in under. V as in van. You can feel that vibrating on your lips. W as in water. X as in box. So once again, you'll often find your alphabet charts will have the X-ray, but the X-ray, yes, it starts with a X, but we want to teach them the sound, that it's actually your curly K and your S that makes the X sound. Y for yellow, and then Z for the buzz. Okay, so now that I have done this, we're going to do it together. We can all practice, because it's the only way that we are going to get it right, is by practicing. And if everybody's practicing, then it doesn't matter. We don't need to think that we sound a bit funny. So we're doing this for the sake of our children. So, right. So I'm going to say the word, and then I want you to give me the sound that it starts with. Okay. Apple.
A.
Ball.
B.
Cat.
K.
Dog.
D.
Egg.
E.
Fish. Goat.
G.
House.
H.
Ink.
E.
Jet.
J.
Kettle. Lamp. Mat. Nose. Orange. Pink. Queen. Red. Sun. Tent. Under. Van. Water. Box. What does it end with? Yellow. And the buzz is now sound. Well done. Give yourselves a hand. Must have been quite a funny experience for some of our lips and our tongues and all the rest. So, right. let's take the f. Give me a word that starts with a f. Okay, we've got fish. Let's try think of a word that's got a sound, one consonant sound for the beginning and the end. Fig. I think I heard fig. Fox.
As in fox.
Fox. Okay. So what sound starts at the beginning of fox? What sound do we hear at the end of fox? What rhymes with fox?
Fox.
Good. Right. That's nice and easy. Okay. So I'm going to now do a bit of muddling up and see if we can get our sounds practiced a little bit. Right. What sound do we hear at the beginning of sock? And at the end of sock? Okay. Good. What sound do we hear at the beginning of jam? And the end of jam? What sound do we hear at the beginning of mat? And at the end? Good. Right. Let's go through the sounds just as we've got them in front of us, doing them in the alphabetical order, and not with the words, just so that we can practice that a little bit more. Right. A, B, K, D, E, K, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, A, W, X, Y, Z. Right, we're going to go backwards. Are we ready? We have some water. Right. Let's go. Yeah. What? What sound is at the beginning of their name. We often will say to them, right, if your name starts with a R, you can go and get your lunch. So we do that incidentally in the classrooms and that as well with them. So they just become aware of sounds. So as you're going around, the shops, what sound does Spar start with? What sound does Pick and Pay start with? So the whole thing with this age group and learning is just about doing it incidentally. It's not like we're going to sit down and do our homework. So even in the kitchen, they can help you, with getting a potato. What sound does potato start with? Just that it's happening incidentally. Because then they don't even realize that they're learning. And most of the time, they don't realize that they're learning because they're having so much fun. And that's what I always say to parents. If your child is having fun, then that's perfect. So I know some people also ask us, do our children learn to read? Well, yes and no. Because we don't formally teach them how to read. But we do find, at the end of the year, we do have children reading. Just because they have grasped the fact that these letters go together to make the words, and these words are found in books, and so we go. So if your child starts to read, that's fine. But it's not like we're going to sit down now and learn to read, because then we develop a negative thing to reading, and they've got many, many years for the rest of their life that we want them to want to learn. We want them to have fun. And reading is also not just about reading the words. Give them a book and let them tell you a story about the pictures. That's reading a story. It doesn't have to be the story that you've maybe read to them. They can do that as well and make up their own story. And when we do read stories to them, it's also very important that we ask questions afterwards, so that we know that they've understood the story. Because a lot of the time, we'll read the class a story and then you'll ask questions afterwards, and it's as if they've just been sitting there and it's gone in one ear and out the other ear. So we really need to be developing listening skills so that they are able to hear the instruction and follow through with it. So that just goes to our basics of giving an instruction and then following through with it. And then during a story time, it can be the fun part. So even if you read one page and ask a question, just start slowly with them, because it is so important that they develop that skill to learn to listen and follow through, so that later on when they are reading, they're able to read the questions and answer the questions. So everything that we do here is the foundation for your child to build on as they go to big school. Because the simple things that we do are actually extremely important foundation blocks, that if they don't get developed now, when they get to big school, then it's like the blocks are not quite able to build onto this foundation, and then things come crashing down. So yes, it might sound silly to us, but at the end of the day, we've got to remember that this is where it all starts, and that doing all these things in a fun way, I know that time is very difficult, but it's things that you can do on the way home in the car. So use the opportunities that you have with your children to be able to expose them to new words and new vocabulary, and be aware of the sounds that are around them, because their whole new world opens up for them when they get to read. They step on with them. They've got to look at what Jonathan is doing. So you can see everything is done in sync. So it's the whole thing of the brain synapses connecting because of the repetition. And they're not allowed to go faster than Jonathan, and they're not allowed to go slower than Jonathan. Right. Okay, Mrs. Cannon, do you want to do the next one? This is one that they are practicing quite a bit at the moment.
Ready, go.
You can try. Balance. Down.
Forward. 5, 6,
Balance.
7,
Down.
8, 9,
Balance.
do it again.
So now see he's using his other foot.
2,
So that's how they differentiate that they've got a sock.
4,
Okay.
5, 6,
Balance.
7, 8, 9,
Up.
10,
Balance. Stop.
Two, ready, go.
You.
Bat. You.
You.
Cat. You. Writing hand up, and they have to draw in the air as such. And you will see that their arms get very tight and they want to hold them up. So it's quite something for them to be able to build stamina. They can feel, and they can't go like this with their finger, it's going to be your arm. So a lot is developed during NeuroNet. And then